Vanessa. I own the studio.
I'm Alyssa. I help her run it.
And this is our studio.
Nice.
Nice. Now, where are you?
We are in Houston, Texas. Can you hear us?
That studio looked familiar. I was searching for a studio for a client that was going to Houston, and I was like, oh, these two kind of look a little bit familiar, but I'm not exactly sure why. But Houston, that's it.
Yes.
Oh, yay.
So we're small, but we like feeling.
This, who else has a studio? Misty, there's another studio. I think someone we talked to recently is in Houston as well.
Houston or Austin? I think we knew someone in Austin. I don't know.
Austin.
One in Houston.
Yeah, and Sunny is now in San Antonio.
San Antonio, yes. Congrats, Sunny.
Okay.
Sunny's the best.
Going more Joe.
Yes. Yes.
Nice. Sweet. So Vanessa, how long have you guys been there for?
So I started the business in 2017 to work at Lifetime, and then I couldn't do the corporate thing anymore, so jumped ship and started my own studio. That's been slowly growing since 2017, and she came on 2020.
Cool.
Nice. Oh, we've been like 10 years.
So we both started, actually it's funny because we both started at a private studio, or a private gym, I should say. And so we both kind of started in that one-on-one individual private gyms, and then broke off and did corporate, and then jumped away and said, okay, well,
never again.
We don't want to do corporate. We want to keep that intimacy going.
Yes. I mean, there's so much to learn from both, right? Like,
yes.
I guess I'm like a Lifetime alum as well. And I have my friends say, I know, like, for good or for bad. And my friends always say this, though, like, anyone who leaves corporate, Lifetime specifically, you always do better afterwards. Like, you've learned, you've seen different bodies, you've had a ton of different faces, you've seen different systems. Some you'll adopt, some you leave. So you take so much away from that going from private to corporate and back to private, I think you're in a better spot than if you had just gone private to bigger private, bigger.
For sure.
Agreed.
I think you also learn how to juggle the plates better. When you are working in a big operation, there's just more expected of you, and you have to handle those personalities of both the people you work with and the people that are running the place, owning the place, managing whatever. You have to learn to dance. And then when you open your own studio, business, whatever you want to call it, you're better prepared for the ebbs and flows. And, I think it's an invaluable experience. People who go from, I was an accountant at a small firm to I'm working at a tiny Pilates studio, the cultures are so different that it's really, really hard to figure out how to manage the studio end, I think, because people are more raw. They're more, you don't go to the accountant like this, but you might walk into your Pilates studio that way. And when you are at the head of the seat or the studio, you have to figure that out. I think that's great experience that you guys have.
We had, because we appreciate the quality over the quantity, but we got that from a smaller gym. Every family, everybody kind of was there for each other. It wasn't so big that you got lost in the crowd.
Everybody knew everybody.
Yeah, which is good. But then you go to the corporate world and you really learn like the management level, all the different levels. Like, you have to know how to be on stage, but you also know how like the lights and sound work. And that's really what I got from the corporate world.
Yes, well said.
How do I manage a team? How do I keep things looking professional? Run the books behind the scenes. Like, I didn't have a time to PA and all this other stuff. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do my own wallpaper. So it was just kind of learning how to do that, learning how to market, but then also being able to have that kind of fit family that we bring people into.
Mm. There's I had the luxury of basically starting. Yeah, I lost you guys a bit. It's cutting in a little bit out a bit, but um, when I was at Lifetime, we opened the first um, basic location in Canada, essentially. So, starting as a personal training manager there, I had the opportunity to really determine what the ethos of the place was going to be. Like, it's not going to be cutthroat. We are going to build and help one another. We're going to feed one another, stuff like that. So, there was the opportunity to create the culture in a positive way because no one knew what the culture looked like.
Yeah.
Right. So that was an advantage. So now you guys now going into your space, leaving that, now you have the opportunity to create your own culture within your space, right?
And we have now 5. Not there's the gym, there's our Pilates studio, a physical therapy clinic, high intensity training.
Oh, it's still choppy.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Oh,
Is there any chance you could move like over away from the fan?
try that. It's extra hot here. It's like 115.
Our
AC
AC out right now.
Your AC's out?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
In Houston.
terrible. I'm sorry.
Is that any better?
For the moment, yeah.
Okay. We just won't move. Don't move.
Great. Now, would you repeat what you were saying, please? Because I missed it.
God. Oh, I was saying that we're small businesses and there's 5 businesses in this one location. We all kind of have set our own energy within our own business, but we're all trying to kind of work as a family too. So we're just this one-stop shop where we've got a physical therapy clinic, we have a gym, so we're both personal trainers and Pilates instructors.
Yes.
Got the gym, we've got a high intensity interval thing, we have a wellness clinic. So we're all kind of setting our own worlds, but all like working as a unified front.
Absolutely. I love the name, and I feel like there's always vision in the name of a business. So can you talk about Illuminate and how you guys came to that?
Well, so the guy who actually started the whole facility, his name is Nate. So he named it Illuminate.
Catch it now. Yes.
Not cooler, simpler than that. My actual business is Empowered Pilates and Training.
Okay.
I had been through like my roller coaster of a life, and it was just a lot of ups and downs and kind of thing. I chose to swim, and so I thought the whole lotus flower and empowering other people through what I'd been through and was actually why I named it Empowered Pilates initially. But then we did the DBA with Illuminate just to kind of, again, unify with everyone else that's.
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. Let's hang out on the empowered part then.
Yes.
So what does that mean? What does that mean for people walking in your door then?
Well, honestly, again, I guess we're such a small kind of boutique gym, and we tell everybody you're going to be part of our fit family. And if you show up to class and you're going to have surgery or you miss class or something, like you have a family now. We, our younger clients, I'm like, if you're going to start dating someone, like they have to meet the Pilates family and we have to approve. So it's kind of, it's like we have a little family, and whether you're going through something great or something bad, we just wanted everyone to feel welcome and know that they're supported, not just in fitness, but kind of all aspects of life.
I love that. I think that wellness bubble is, I think it's kind of what people need. We know that people who do personal training might benefit from Pilates and vice versa. People who do PT need a place to land for their post-rehab journey. So, I love the idea of the name being Empower, and yet, you are a cluster of businesses in one, because that's what you allow people to do. It's pretty cool.
We're got included within all of this. A lot of us came from corporate, ready to hustle. I mean, we live in Houston, so it's hustle town. We're ready to hustle. We're ready to change lives and support team, even outside of our company. Just to motivate others. It's tough going out on your own.
Yeah, it really is.
There is.
Especially once COVID hit, we were kind of like, are we going to make it? How are we going to do this? Like, we're so tiny. But we were all there. We're still here. Yeah.
Nice. Do you guys make the pivot to online for a lot of your classes and all that stuff too, or?
I did during COVID. She still does.
I still do.
I
I was in California when COVID hit, and when I made the transition out here, I actually have classes that I teach with clients that still live in California. I've got one that is in London for 3 weeks, one that lives in Pennsylvania now. So I actually am I'm trying to hone out into keeping the virtual classes going, because we still don't know what's going to happen with the economy now. So I feel like that's an important factor or an option to keep open, because we never might feel the need to find a reasonable way to do something financially. So
yeah.
Or even from a safety perspective or a travel perspective or whatever, what I like about online, because I'm solely virtual now, no one has an excuse anymore to stop their lessons. You know, my clients, I've got several clients on vacation right now, and they're like, yeah, see you next week. So that's nice. They like that too. They like knowing that they say that I'm portable. It's not that they're portable. It's that I'm portable. And hey, if it works, it works. You can call it a ham sandwich as long as we're still training. So
Yeah. Non-chef Sam I Am has been shooting some messages through I've been trying to get to. So first of all, he was asking to see your lotus tattoo, Vanessa.
Yeah, I guess I have
There you go.
nice.
And then second, he's asking if people have their own chairs, reformer, and applies equipment, and can't that be dangerous without supervision?
I mean, I think anything could have a low flag for yourself. I don't. But I think people that invest in Pilates are people that have been into a studio, have done it before, or again, like virtual person. I would tell people, if I'm going to trust my client, anybody, it's going to be with a Pilates instructor, because I know the amount of hours and time it takes to become a certified Pilates instructor. So if I'm even watching you virtually, I can tell from 100 feet away, 100 miles away, that your knee is not lined up over your second and third toe. So I think there's a way to make it safe, even if you were to have it at home by yourself.
And I think if people have their own equipment at home, like you said, they have invested in it, and it means that they have the experience, and they probably have some kind of body awareness.
Like, you don't
to where
like,
if you tell them,
walk around, you're like, I'm gonna get a Pilates chair, I don't know what it does. It probably is.
Oh, it happens.
Mr. Shopping Channel, seeing people buy stuff all the time.
How many Malibu chairs are you responsible for, Martin?
Just a couple. Couple, yeah, quite a few. It's just, you can answer that question by going on Kijiji and seeing how many of them are for sale right now. Actually, that's really your answer. Because people buy the stuff and like, yeah, I'm gonna use this every day, and then like, I don't know how to use it. I'm just hanging clothes on it, so let's get it out of the house, right?
Fair. I mean, everyone needs a new clothes hanger.
Right, in the shape of a treadmill or a reformer.
yes.
My son used to sleep on the treadmill, and
uncomfortable.
I wouldn't lay on it, but if I couldn't find him, if he was lost in the house somewhere, I'd go downstairs and he'd be asleep on the treadmill. And I was like, well, that's a use that I never really considered, actually. But whatevs.
And when it's time to school in the morning, you just press quick start.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought of that, but I wish I had. That would have been a great video.
That's funny.
Your new alarm.
Exactly.
No doubt. So in terms of your personal training, like how do you fit balance it between like your personal training and your Pilates clients? Do you have people who are just one or just the other, or are you like kind of like me where you kind of sneak Pilates into the personal training people and sneak personal training into the Pilates people?
Everything. So,
Yes, yes.
so like she just finished teaching a class. So a lot of times she's teaching, but my ultimate goal is to open a studio where every reformer has a squat rack and every reformer has a dumbbell rack, and I want to merge the worlds together. I find a lot of people that do strength training, they don't have the small muscles, they don't have the muscular awareness, they don't know what their TVA is, and then you get the people in Pilates who they're not able to really like load their bones and really get some of those muscles around those small muscles. And so yeah, I mean we'll do side splits, and then I'm like, we're gonna get up and we're gonna do Bulgarians, and then we're gonna do hip thrusts, and we're gonna do sumo squats, and then we're gonna get back on and we're gonna do footwork, and we're just constantly trying to like mix the two up. But yeah, we're small, so sometimes or we do 30 minutes and 30 minutes. I'll do 30 minutes in the Pilates studio. We'll warm up all the small muscles, and then we'll go out and we'll do legs in the gym.
Yep.
So do you get objections from, okay, so I'm going to date myself, but people and women in my generation, we were told that if you load heavy, if you work heavy, you're going to end up like a big square mailbox. And that's not really the sexy look, So, and I already know where you're going, but I think it's an important conversation because nowadays nobody wants to talk about the fact that Pilates may not check all of the boxes.
Yeah, right. I think it's we all have to be humble in our own way. A lot of trainers are like, oh, like just personal training, or Pilates instructor, like, oh, just Pilates. I'm like, no, like
Do it all.
we have to do it all. You have to complete all the layers of the onion. And yes, we get it's like, we don't want to bulk up. I'm like, and me, I'm like, okay, well, are you gonna deadlift 255 pounds? And they're like, oh, I would never. I'm like, how do you like how I look? And they're like, oh, you look great. I'd kill to look like you. I'm like, well, I deadlift 255 pounds. So let's get out there. And I think, and we have some of our ladies that are, they're starting to go through menopause, or, they've got different osteoporosis and different stuff like that. And I'm like, we have to work everything, and just
weight training is what keeps the bone strong.
And Pilates helps with that, but I think it's important, we just kind of let them know that there are multiple layers, and Pilates is great, but we still have to work some of those outer layers as well to complete the whole package, and that they're not going to bulk up. They see a lot of us here, and we're kind of, no. What would you say?
I don't know one. I wasn't ready for that one. I don't know. I think it takes a lot more than just lifting 100 pounds or 200 pounds to bulk up. It really does. It takes a lot. And I mean, you can see people who do a lot more. They lift a lot more. They are squatting a lot more. They're pressing a lot more. And I mean, or if you need to, you say, okay, well, you don't want to lift that heavy. We'll do lower weight and higher reps. There's implications to all of it. And I think if they go for the lighter weights, I'm like, okay, well, we're going high reps today. We're doing a lot of reps today.
It's so funny, Lace, as you're talking about that. I'm listening to you, and like, in our Pilates speak, we say train, you train the body that's in front of you. In the personal training world, we've been saying that forever too. And it's like what you said right there. Okay, we're not doing this. We'll do it like this. Okay, we don't want to do that. We can do it over there. Like we always find ways to just adjust and adapt the program to meet the person where they're at. And, you said that, like, okay, we don't have to necessarily do squats and deadlifts, but we can still do legs. We'll use a kettlebell. We're going to use a TRX. We're going to do this. Well, actually, we can go somewhere else in the work and still get them to where their goal is.
And actually, I'm finding now, and it might be the switch these days, where we're wanting to like have a little bit more muscle and glutes. Easier for me to talk to women about doing something where I'm from, I feel like here, but convincing men that Pilates is actually, oh no, like women, it's just stretching. It, it's actually the reverse. I have a hard time getting men in. I had professional NFL player. He started doing Pilates, and he was just like, "This has to be a staple for me."
Sorry, Vanessa. Sorry, just like you're still cutting out, but I think
Yes,
I just
lean
caught what.
forward. It's better when you lean forward, I think.
Because I'll just repeat what you said there if I caught it. So you're basically saying it's easier to get women to embrace the idea of training than it is to get men to embrace the idea of Pilates.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm having a harder time convincing men. But you know, I had an NFL player come in and start doing Pilates preseason, and he
Okay.
was, this has to be a staple for me. He, you know, all the small muscles, injury prevention, working on those, and then controlling those small muscles. It's just I'm like, okay, I got one player. How do I get, you know, the men to see the benefit of Pilates? And that's where I really,
Yeah.
like,
And isn't it interesting, right? Like you get the athletes, the male athletes who are like, this is all of that in a bag of chips. Like, I need to be doing this all the time. This completes me, this rounds me out. And then it's like the dude couch potato who hasn't seen a workout since 1986, who's like, that's what women do. It's such an interesting paradox.
Yes.
But you know, I agree, you know, and I think so much of that is just marketing. And I think the other thing is just, you know, again, when a guy sees a small, or I don't know how tall or how broad or anything about you guys, but what I do know is in my case, the guy comes in, he sees this 5'4" woman, and then I'm doing this crazy stuff, and he's like, oh yeah, that's not for me. I think it's a lot of ego more than
Mm-hmm.
a lot of things. And I think that, you know, I love what Martin's been doing, and there are some other people out there that are really working to get this work to men that are getting the work to men. I think the more men we have in the field, the better it'll be. Not to say that we can't do it, but sometimes it's easier to hear it from people that look like you.
that's why I started following you, because just like, look, like men do Pilates. And so
Nice. That's honestly, that is so affirming to hear. Like that really is the mission, because I know that there's a few guys that do that. So if I could be a face, you'd be like, look, you know, Susie's husband, you need to be doing this because this guy is, you know, that's mission accomplished, right? So
100%. Like no one's going to look at Martin Reed and say, oh my gosh, look at this little cupcake. How is he doing this? No. Yeah, no. But now I might start calling you Cupcake.
yeah, I was waiting for that. I was saying that would have been the first time I've ever been called a cupcake. Thank you.
Hashtag just saying.
Yes. Do
Yeah.
not hashtag that, people. So moving on.
Mark is, again, we're getting there. That's one that comes 5 days a week
Yeah,
now.
he's coming 5 days a week now.
Yes.
Doing privates for a while, and he just decided, he goes, okay, I need more of this in my life. So I'm kind of merging his privates to where we do half Pilates, half training, and kind of throwing the weights in a little bit more.
Yep.
Because he's coming to the classes now on the. So, but I think it's definitely, and with her, I want to hear how to get that attention out there, because the only thing I can ever think of other than showing that guys do it, I mean, it started by a man for men. But people
right,
don't hear
if you
that.
know this. If you know the history, but so many people don't. I can't tell you how many Pilates instructors I hear say, oh, well, this was for ballet people. And I'm like, first of all, they're not ballet people. But secondly, like, no, that's not what it is. There's so much misinformation out there about really where the method started. And, you know, we don't do a great job as an industry when, you know, we're showing a bunch of really tiny skeletal women, you know, doing the work. And listen, P.S. I don't, if you are a tiny skeletal woman, please don't send me a nasty gram. Like, You can be whoever you are in whatever form that you're in. But when we're talking about bringing men in, if they're looking at a skeleton, they're not going to think that this work is going to benefit them. And that's the shame, because men really need this work, not even just the physical piece of the work, but that mental, that challenge, that settling in, that saying,
Yes.
oh, why can't I find this? Not, I'm going to just brutalize myself until I get it. But how do I take this into my body and make it a part of me? That getting past the superficial, I think in movement is what men need. You hear the flexibility objection, all these other things. Digging in, going deep is what's going to help with that. So I applaud you guys for really going after that market, because I know it's hard, but I also know they come around. Start with golfers.
Our goal is a men's only class. Good thing we
put it out there. Yeah.
Can I tell a story real quick before we go on?
Yeah, go for it.
So I had this group of golfers, and you may have heard me tell this story before, but humor me. I had this group of golfers. Their wives all took Pilates, and their wives were sick and tired of them whining and complaining about being miserable during golf season because they were sore and injured. And their whole process before was go to the golf trip in January, get hurt, come back. We're in Pennsylvania, so you don't really get out and start really golfing until April. So, you've got time to rehab that January injury so that by April you can go out and play, and then you're injured again by the June golf trip. And then you spend the rest of the season hoping to get back out. So these women made their husbands come in, and it was a big pissing contest from day one, to the point where they would come in with a box of donuts, and they'd set the donuts on top of the water cooler, and they had their iced tea in a jug, because that's what Pittsburghers drink for some reason. And this is the way the lesson would be. And when the work would get too hard, someone would get up and get a donut during the lesson.
I love it. I'm in.
But you know what? I let them have it. I let them get their donut, because I said, you know what? One, this is your lesson. But two, if you think that that's going to derail me, you've got another thing coming. So, I can play this pissing contest game as long as you keep paying me. Let's keep going. And eventually they started to appreciate it, but it wasn't easy. And they started telling people about it.
Yes.
So, just like anything else, I think if you can win over just a few, then you can, start the fire.
Right.
I had a client in California that came in because he had back pain and and he was doing Pilates. He only came once, maybe twice a week, but just that little bit. After a few months, he looked at me and goes, since I started coming to your classes, my jump shot in basketball has gotten better. I'm like, well, I won't ever say, I don't ever say, I say, I'll keep myself humble about it. But I'm like, I'm so glad that helped. But it helps with all the stabilizers. It helps with all of the things that help with those larger movements. And I think that's what a lot of people miss is that's what I always tell people is you like strength training. Okay, but Pilates can help you get stronger in your presses, in every, because it is strengthening all of those muscles that help stabilize and support your large.
I gotta say, I love non-chef Sam I am here. Isn't golfing another excuse to get hammered? I think that's true too, which is exactly why there needs to be more Pilates in golf land. Because if you're going to be careening around in a golf cart, you need your stabilizers, especially if you're hammered.
Right.
All day. We're gonna need you to be able to break the cord.
Just another reason to Pilates.
Absolutely.
There you go. Maybe that's your next advertising. You've got somebody flying out of the cart. There you go. We can help you with that.
We can help you with that for sure. So on top of getting your NFL guys in there or getting your golfers in there and having them tell their friends and stuff like that, what about the notion of actually making disciples, of actually making trainers out of these guys who are that excited about it? To be like, okay, we may not have a teacher training program, but I want you to actually learn. I think you'd be a great teacher one day. Maybe this is 3, 4, 5 years down the road when your career is done, whatever, but get it in their head that they're not just taking a class with you, but they're actually preparing for one day being a teacher themselves.
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Like, I've been a little bit more explicit with that with some of the guys I train with, where I've been like, okay, you know what, this is your 5-year plan to becoming a Pilates teacher. And they're like, okay, let's get it. Like, you know what I mean? So it's not like happening tomorrow, but so I'll take some time when I'm doing an exercise. I'll maybe spend more time explaining to them why we're doing the exercise or how it connects to another exercise. Like almost like the conversation that Misty would have with one of her teacher trainer students, where it's not just, okay, do this exercise next. It's like, I see this and we're supposed to go here next, but this might be better for you. And this is why. And have that level of conversation with the people, so like they're kind of getting to a different mindset with their lesson.
The other great part about that is that people in the studio see this person. They've seen this person over and over. They see that this person is suddenly getting different attention. Now they're learning more from you guys. And it helps to keep it within the community. When people see somebody within their own community elevate, I tend to think that it gets more people excited.
Yes.
Then they go home and say, hey, babe, there was this dude at the studio. He's been coming in all this time. And now all of a sudden it looks like he's training. You think I could do that? It's like a little bit of strategery and reverse psychology. But I think that that's a really great way to go with men who might not be explicit about wanting to do it, because again, they look at who generally teaches Pilates, and it's
Majority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
Shanti's comment here says, yes, explain how something on the reformer might relate to something on the Cadillac, example, mermaid scapula stabilization. Yeah, that talking those through those points is so key. Yeah, very cool. Vanessa, I saw on one of your posts, as I was kind of creeping through like your old, like all the way down, you had a great quote about trauma, and I think Tammy's still in the chat, and it's just a good line, and I like the way it said. It said, trauma is a fact of life, but doesn't have to be a way of life.
Yeah. Oh man. So
that's a hard. That's a deep. That's
deep
one of.
Did we just go deep, like real quick there?
I'm like, how much time do we?
Yes.
I think again, it probably even goes back to like why I chose the lotus flower and everything like that. I think everybody had the like.
Hold on. If this is really juicy, I want you to lean forward again so we don't lose you. I want everybody to hear these nuggets.
I think we've all had things happen to us in our life, and the things that have helped me grow the most are the things that probably hurt the most in that moment. But there are also the things where I look back now, and those are the things that put me past my comfort zone, made me grow. I always kind of said, someone asked me one time, they're like, what's your relationship with like God and religion? And I was like, I look at him as like a rug ripper. And sometimes we all get comfortable and we're like, this is my comfort zone. I know I should probably be better than this, but I'm comfortable here. I'm safe here. And a lot of times trauma that has happened to me in my life was like a rug getting ripped out from it. I back, I've had my moments where I'm sleeping on people's couches and I'm homeless and I'm moving states and getting away from unsafe things in my life. But I look back, I'm like, I would have never gotten to where I am today had I not gone through those rug ripping trauma moments. But I'm not going to, I'm going to look at it and be like, one day I'm going to look back at those moments and say, thank you. Thank you for ripping the rug. Thank you for putting me through those traumas. And I wouldn't be where I am today if I hadn't. So that's kind of where that resonated with me. That,
yes.
It's a thing that happens. It doesn't have to be whole life.
Yeah, I'll read the quote again. It said, trauma is a fact of life, but doesn't have to be a way of life.
Yeah. Like it happens, but I'm not going to sit in it, and I'm going to use it to push myself forward. And I'm not going to be angry the rest of my life either. Again, you got to look back once you've grown from it, learn from it, look back.
That have like those tough upbringing, and they think that that means that their future has to be similar to what their past is. And just because you have a bad past doesn't mean that you can't have an amazing present and future.
Yes.
Well, and I think too, when we look at that from a movement perspective, again, bring it back to Pilates land, how many people come in and they say, oh, you know what? I've had this illness for, 27 years. And so therefore I can't do this.
Yes.
And, they're creating the borders and the boundaries before they've even had the experience. And your quote's so important, because when you come in that way and you're self-limiting that way, boy, does it affect how you're able to grow.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people talk about this in Pilates now. We're not supposed to talk about trauma. Why are people talking about trauma? But we see it so much. We see people coming in hurt for whatever reason, and physically manifesting that hurt. So why can't we then say, okay, this is what it is. This is what you're bringing to the table. We get it. We honor that. And now we're moving on. Let's try to expand beyond it. Yes.
Yeah. We have, again, I think she just had a class, and we've got one lady who is doing planks with absolutely no springs on. And then we've got a lady who literally is missing an ab muscle. They cut it away to, do reconstruction. So she's missing an entire muscle.
And then we have one that's pregnant.
And then we have one that's pregnant. And then we have one that's just like kind of happy and like there. And it's one of those where like you come in with this trauma, this injury, this feeling. And we're like, okay, we got that. We're going to work with it. And then we're going to set goals and we're going to move past it. And now you have us to help you professionally, but you also have this little family around you, that cares. And people, it's more than just Pilates. It's
sure.
That support piece is so important. It's more than just their clients that walk in and out, right? It's a family. It's a community in and of itself.
And we need that more than ever right now. People
Absolutely.
And I have people that they're still working from home, which is nice, but they come here and they're like, this is my 1 hour to myself. This is my 1 hour away. They come in stress and they leave lighter. And yes, their muscles feel good, but their mind feels better. Like their heart feels lighter. And that's,
that's so key.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, and I appreciate you sharing that story too, Vanessa, because I think when we normalize that situation for us as teachers too, right? Because people put us on a pedestal, and it's one thing to create a safe space and to do all those warm, fuzzy things for people, but then they still think like, okay, well, no one else has gone through what I've gone through.
Yeah.
Right. So you respect.
We're supposed to be perfect.
Yeah, we're supposed to be perfect. Right. So respecting that, like respect the fact that like this is our space, but and you don't want to bleed all over people with your whole life story, but still kind of find that sweet spot where they understand like I've gone through this, or I've felt this, or I know the energy level that you're trying to muster up to get through this class right now. I get it because I've been through that sort of thing. Like all those things really do help, like Misty said, to just create that environment for our people, right? So,
well, that was where we came with some of our comments. We were kind of starting a whole like prayer and Pilates thing. Little comments all over our chalkboard. So that's kind of, we just wanted to relate like fitness and life motivation there for each other.
And I think it helps when clients come in and realize they realize like you're not, like Mark said, on a pedestal. We are human beings as well. We have life and trauma that we're dealing with as well, but we're here for you. And if you've been through this, so have I. And if somebody comes in and talks about some of their injuries, I've got a plethora of injuries, and that's why I do Pilates. It's why I mean, a car accident is what got me started with Pilates.
Yeah.
And
I just wanted to be taller. Someone told me it needed to be
Fair.
but they, I think when they hear that you have gone through that journey and that you are here, and I think it helps with the empathy to it and the
Yes.
understanding, and it helps them feel that they can.
want to see that, we've been through it and we're here and we're functioning and we're moving, just to give them that hope.
Yes.
Like, okay, you've been through this, you worked through, you went through Pilates, you did this, now you're going to take me on that journey too. And I hope that I can kind of come out on the end. Like,
Yeah.
It makes such a difference, that relatability piece. How many times have you worked with someone who's been like, oh, well, I'll never attain that. And then you say, you know what? I didn't think I'd be able to either. After my car accident, I couldn't turn my head, or, whatever it is. And you just see that wall come down. And I think that more of us have to be better at just, it's honesty. It's being honest, and it's not seeing it as a vulnerability or weakness. I'm sorry. It's about letting somebody in.
Yes.
and I think that was kind of where we were doing some of those. I think in today's online world and with Instagram and everything, it's just, like everybody looks like they're having this highlight reel of their life. And it's great and smiles and happy. Clients here. And we just wanted to bring that kind of like, nobody's perfect, not everything's perfect, we're not perfect, and give a little light to the online world, because it gets hard not to compare yourself to everything.
Especially with everything after COVID, everybody's dealing with something, and we wanted to kind of bring some of that positivity and for our family and anybody else who might see our posts, that it's okay not to be, but that tomorrow can be better.
Yeah. I think to what Misty was saying there, and what you're saying as well, is there's very much like a part of being missional. Like, we're on a mission, we're on purpose with what we do. Like, we're not just doing sets and reps as a personal trainer or making sure they got a perfect roll up. We are really trying to get into like those nooks and crannies of their life so they can have hope and that they can have all these different things, right? So there's a second part. There's almost like 2 assignments with every person that comes in, right? And I don't know about you, but I find like I'm always looking for that thing, right? They came to me because they need to fit in the wedding dress, so they want to work on their golf game, but why are you really here?
Yeah.
Right.
There's always a deeper.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's not usually a type up by Tuesday.
Or like they're like, like personal trainer, their Pilates instructor, their therapist, their physical therapist, their friend. Yeah.
Yes.
Pieces.
Community.
Absolutely. Totally community. Ladies, do you have any online classes? I know you have a few things going on. How can we support you guys, promote you guys, stuff they have going on?
I do online classes. I do virtual classes on Zoom on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. My Saturday is typically a stretching class, just to kind of loosen the body up from what the entire week has done.
Just unraveling from the week, yes.
Wednesday and Thursday, and then I'm like, okay, well, let's foam roll for an hour. They hate it, and then they love it whenever I sneak. So
Nice.
I think we're shooting for more online stuff in the future. We're in the middle of kind of revamping our website.
Okay.
So, yes, Google. Y'all could Google to send us a postcard.
Anybody in Google that can help us re-verify the business, that would be great.
Oh, good luck with that.
Yes.
But yeah, so
hate to love, love to hate.
Yes.
That stretching piece, nobody wants to do it. So they just log themselves in, and they know that they'll feel better eventually. But probably not going to be till 2 days later.
Yeah. You're feeling all of it.
Yeah. No, I love that you teach stretch, because people just don't do it. And everyone says, oh, it's so easy. I should be doing this at home. And I'm like, yeah, but you're not going to.
Yeah.
And they don't. So, yeah. No. Very lovely to meet you guys.
Yes.
Thank y'all so much for
Yeah,
having
we're-
us on. I'm glad I was able to join
Ever-
in.
Yeah, I'm so glad.
Stop by.
Yes, please come by. Now, Martin, you said you were in Philadelphia. Martin, where are you?
I'm
Pittsburgh.
in
Sorry.
in Pittsburgh, and I'm in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada.
Okay.
I'm directly 5 hours straight south of him.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
That's interesting.
Okay, so if we're up there, then we'll come visit you guys.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, we'll be-
Always welcome.
And we'll be in New York for Thanksgiving, so.
Nice.
There you go. That's close enough.
Avoid the parade. Don't put yourself in that
Just
situation.
don't do it. That's what we wanted to do. It's one of those things like you have to
Yeah.
do. It's almost like a bucket list.
My bucket is empty.
Yeah, like, not Misty's bucket.
Oh,
I mean, that is hell.
Craziness.
Well-
All right. Thank you so much.
on, and we'll continue to follow you and send all of our men to your page and be like, look.
Yes, please do it. Awesome. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Great one, everyone.
Thanks.